No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door is open to you. This door is open. This door right here, this door is open to you. Is open for you. This door is open to you. This door is open. I'm talking about this door.
Good morning and welcome. This door is open to you. Those of you that are in the building, would you turn and give a wave toward the back? We wave towards our camera in recognition that we have people joining us virtually. And so to our live streamers, to those that are coming in virtually to participate, we want to welcome you. My name is Darlene Strickland. I'm the lead minister here at Unity of the Blue Ridge, and we always begin our time together in prayer. So I invite you to take this opportunity to turn your awareness within. And so as we turn our awareness within, we do so in the spirit of peace. Today we open our hearts, our minds, our entire being to go even more deeply within, to that place where peace is always available. And then to begin to explore and examine, what is it that takes me from my center, from my peace? And how can I be more about that? Being present to peace, to love, to the highest nature that I can possibly be in tune and expressing. And so this day we celebrate, we discover, and we share. And for this we are truly grateful. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. We want to invite you to stand, get up on your feet. We're going to join in some congregational songs here. This first one I think you're all going to recognize. Put a little love in your heart.
Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand. Put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Another day goes by, and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. We want the world to know we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide kindness will be your guide, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place
And now we invite you to extend that love by turning and welcoming those that are around you. We welcome you this morning into this beautiful space of unity. We welcome those of you that are joining us virtually. We recognize you have a choice, and we want to thank you for being here and for being part of this presence and this consciousness. This song says, I send my love. We'll send that love out together. Here we go. I send my love over the mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. What about peace? I send my peace over the mountain. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my love. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. Play it, Sarah. Dave. Yeah, Dave. Now back to us. I send my love over the mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. That last line, and it returns to me. Sound beautiful. Thank you so much. You may be seated. I send my love. Wow. This is the time in the service we would ask you to turn off your cell phone. If you could turn it off or put it on airplane mode, that really helps our live stream and it helps the atmosphere in here as well. It's also the time in our service where we invite our young people from nursery up to teens to come over. We have a beautiful service, Sunday school program, nursery programs for these children, little all the way to the teens. And so we extend this blessing to each and every one of them. They'll be joining some that are already in the back. And as you rub your hands together and direct it toward our youth, through them we direct this toward all children. Together we say that we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. Have a wonderful Sunday school program today. We extend that same welcome to each and every one of you, and we begin by acknowledging anyone that may be here for the first time. If it is your first time and you'd simply like to raise your hand, that allows us to acknowledge you as someone here for the first time. And so if you hold your hand just a second, or Unity folks lovingly point, they'll get a little connections card and a heart to you. That heart allows us to recognize you a little more easily. But those cards are available in our welcome center by the front door. There's some in this direction as well. So we want to welcome each and every one, and whether this is your first time in the building, whether it's your first time virtually, or whether you know this is part of your spiritual practice, your spiritual community, let us extend this affirmation and blessing to one another that says, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. We are truly blessed by you. I want to acknowledge Reverend Daniel Beckett. He spoke last Sunday when I was out of town and did just a beautiful job. So thank you, Dan. Someone that was a part of this spiritual community and inspired through this community to go and do what was his to do, and that's a beautiful thing to experience. Today is the second Sunday of the month. We call it Sacred Service Sunday because we acknowledge one of our teams. I want to invite up our sustainability team, also sometimes referred to as the green team or the earth care team. If the team would come forward and just stand, Beth will meet you down with a mic. And while they're coming up, I want to highlight a couple of other announcements. First of all, here's a PowerPoint slide for this. First of all is a reminder that this Sunday, because it is Sacred Sunday, second Sunday, we have the opportunity after the service to connect, to socialize with coffee, tea, and some light refreshments. And so we invite you to be willing to do that if you could. The second one, we're going to come back. I'm going to tell you in just a few minutes about Richard. So if you'll just jump the next one, Connie, and then go to the third one. The third one, Reverend Megan Goshevsky and one of our members and board member, Gail Ray, are going to be facilitating something. The microphone just disappeared, so I'll let you tell about what's coming up, Megan.
Hi, everyone. Next Saturday here at the Unity, we are going to do a painting and meditation class, myself and Gail Ray. If you could stand, Gail, just say hi. That's going to be an all-day experience, mostly silent. We're going to meditate and paint. So whatever comes up to you as you connect in with the divine, that is what you will put on paper. And we're very excited about this. I have lots of information. If you would like to talk to me after the service, I'll have some flyers and I can talk to you more about the layout of the day and how it might look. But we would love to have you. Please don't let anything that you think might hinder you from coming. If that's finance or whatever, we can talk about that. We just want everyone to experience this connection. Thank you.
Thank you. You can give that back to them. Thank you so much, Reverend Megan, for that. I want to acknowledge this group down front. This is the core group of our Unity Sustainability team. Many of you know that we have a number of years in a row won the highest award possible for being an earth care. We not only talk about practices of how to be more sustainable, but we implement them around here, from everything we buy, what we do, how we use things, and they're an integral part of that. Our hospitality today will be celebrating this, but our sustainability team has a new project that they're going to tell you about today, ways that you can practically be sustainable. And so Jerry Conley, there's a microphone.
Hi. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm also called the Recycling Queen. That's me. Well, we are taking on a new project, the U.S. team, and we are going to recycle. You know those little medicine bottles you get with prescriptions? They're too little to recycle.
Your dogs even get them. I can be a testimony to that.
So we are going to collect them, plus vitamin bottles and like Tylenol, that kind of thing too. And we ask you to take off the labels and to wash them. And we are going to send them to Matthew 25 Ministries, which is in Ohio. And what they do is take these bottles and send them to developing countries. And then they help give out medicines because some of these countries don't have these bottles, and they actually just give the people their medicines in a tissue. So we're helping somebody, and we're recycling. So we hope you will just join us and put.
And it's important to remind you that it's an empty bottle. Empty bottles.
I'm sorry.
Empty.
Do you want the lids on them?
Okay, and we have
Yeah.
instruction sheets, and they'll be out in the lobby, right? And this box will be in the hallway going to the restrooms. So we ask you just to bring whatever you can. We will appreciate it, and the countries will too.
This box is going to be here for the year. We're going to keep collecting and keep doing this.
Yes, it's an ongoing.
So this is just one of the many ways that this team is creatively looking and partnering for ways for us to do this. So would you join me in blessing our team to tell them that we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. To our sustainability team, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. Thank you for that work that you are doing and the many, many ways that you lead us. The next, if you go back a slide, some of you have probably noticed this slide. Our music director, Richard Schulman, go to the one about the concert, if you were right there, yeah. On March 15th, we're going to be hosting a concert right here. Would you please stand up, Richard? He's back in the house with us today. Richard Schulman. You may be seated. So this is my 10th year. January, I'm entering into my 10th year here. When I first came, I asked the most important question: who in this whole area is a pianist, an accompanist, could be a music leader that is far more about their attunement to spirit? Yes, they're a masterful musician, but they understand energy and dynamic and connection. And several people said, Richard Schulman, Richard Schulman, Richard Schulman. And so I reached out, and in a matter of, I think by my third week here, he came. And so we have shared these past years together. Richard is one of the most talented, non-pretentious. I work with a lot of musicians, and I have worked with a lot of ego. One of the things I truly appreciate about this band is you don't have that. And in this man, I did not have that. It kind of, he's so unique in that regard. I kept wondering and honestly waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like his drama queen is going to come out eventually. His Jewish straight man drama queen is going to come out at some point, but it never did. He became instead like a brother to me. And so it's been an amazing journey, the incredible things that we created together, not only here, but we've had the opportunity to present for regional events and larger events out in community, the Women's Business Center of North Carolina, different things. And so I've gotten to know him intimately. But many of you have probably noticed that doing what he loves to do has not been as easy for him the past few years. And so I want to share a letter that's written to you from Richard. It's been a beautiful time participating in the music program at Unity, and I have loved playing with the band, our singers, and reaching the spiritual heights accompanied by Reverend Darlene's meditations. I didn't expect to retire, but here I am. 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with apparent Parkinson's disease. The important things in my life have continued unabated, and certain things needed in my position here have grown harder and harder for me to perform. I still have my core abilities musically of playing meditative music and composing. I know that Parkinson's is curable, and I'm working towards my healing, asking for divine grace. In the meantime, I've been recording a series of albums honoring the solstice and equinoxes, and the first offering will be released in March, a spring equinox piano meditations. Unity has generously arranged a benefit concert for me on March 15th, and I enjoy looking forward to attend and listen to the music. I'm grateful for all that we have done together. It may seem that I was always in a hurry with so much to do, and that was very true. I now welcome communication with all of you now that my musical responsibilities are complete. Richard is focusing on his healing and on his composing, and we want to give back in a very big way. So I have to tell you, I reached out not to just the musicians and singers here, but I went out into the community. Every single person I asked said, if this is for Richard Schulman, count me in, I'll be there. So March 15th, you can come out. If you go to the website now, you can buy a ticket or just make a donation. The night of, if you come in, you can simply make a donation and come on in and enjoy. We're going to make it really easy. 100% of the proceeds, everyone is volunteering so that all goes to him. Richard Schulman, you are the music of the spheres, and we just love you and appreciate you. To Richard Schulman. Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Elaine Scott, would you come on up? One of the things Richard has always helped us do is to keep an eye open in the greater community to look for talent. And so this is Elaine's third time with us now. She's back today by very popular demand. I want to thank you. I want to thank Deb Viteri for connecting me with her. Elaine's mom is with her today. We want to acknowledge Mom for being in the house and being here today. So, welcome, Elaine Scott.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, oh, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us where the world can live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. Together, woman and man. Yeah. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, oh, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us where the world will live as one.
Yeah. Ooh, Elaine Scott, that was beautiful. Imagine, imagine, imagine. And I want to thank this band, and I also want to acknowledge Sarah. Sarah Kohrs wound up here, almost a year ago now? Yeah. almost a year ago because someone knew she was a musician and they wanted a poem put to song. Long story short, she winds up here, she begins to attend, she enjoys it, she becomes our choir director. So when Richard and I are starting to have conversations and knowing that his role here is changing, I immediately reached out to Sarah and said, look, you've been brought here for such a time of this, how would you feel about it? But what I want you to know about her, she said, yes and no. I would never, ever step into this position as long as Richard wanted it, could do it, and would do it. She said, I would gladly support, and when the time comes, I'm here. And so I just appreciate the way you graciously are such a support of everybody you work with. Thank you for that. Yeah. I just feel so warm and fuzzy. I think we could hug somebody and go home and be and be very happy today. But I have a message that's titled Nonviolence in Consciousness and Practice. Nonviolence in Consciousness and Practice. So let me get there. But first, let's look at today. Or last weekend. Last weekend, I took a few days off to spend time with my family. My family came together. I have a brother that lives in Portugal. His family didn't come, but everybody else, we gathered to celebrate my sister's 60th birthday. It was a nice 3 days. We rented a place and all came together. And I did something that I don't normally do. I stayed up almost to midnight, which is rare for me these days, for a specific thing. My niece and nephews were there, and they were all excited about the Grammys. And so all day it was about getting ready for the Grammys, and I would have just soon gone to bed, quite frankly, but because it was family and it was them, I'm like, okay, I'm in it. I think I can make it through the whole thing. Let's go for it. And I wanted to see and experience it through their eyes, and so the different generations of watching this. And I was so glad I watched it, because there was one particular moment. There were a lot of moments. But there was one moment when one of my heroes stepped out on stage, surprisingly, Tracy Chapman. Tracy Chapman stood out on stage in her blue jeans and just like Tracy Chapman, glowing with the light within her soul. And she began to sing her song that had been a hit many, many years ago called Fast Cars. But what made it so powerful is she was joined so Tracy Chapman is a 59-year-old African-American lesbian music artist who really stays out of the light a lot, but is a masterful singer, an incredible heart. And she sang it with a younger man, 33-year-old Luke Combs, who's made that song popular again today in the country western genre. And so here they stood on stage together, ebony and ivory. Two very different followings. And yet from the whole Grammy event, what has been most talked about was that. Some people said there was more healing and hope demonstrated for building bridges instead of walls in that moment, in that performance, than anything that had happened in the last decade. And I tend to agree. It was a very, very powerful moment of having people that can appear to be very different yet come together and have genuine respect for each other because they admire each other's artistry, each other's creativeness, each other's heart. And we're doing something together in a way that just exuded respect. And it translated. And to me, that was very, very hopeful. Now, an interesting juxtaposition, if you will, I want to take you to another Grammy. And I'll date some of us because I'm going to take us back to 1990. I was much younger and could stay awake easier for that one that year. That year, the talk that year was the best new artist. In 1990, the best new artist went to a group that had kind of stormed the United States. They were doing great. They came from Germany, and their name was Milli Vanilli. Now, some of you know where this is going. They win a Grammy for their music. Just a short time later, they're on live television, MTV, singing their song, which actually they weren't singing. It was a soundtrack. And what happened on live TV is something happened and the record starts jumping. And so they're like, I send my love, I send my love, I send my love, I send my love, I send my love. It's like, you can't, they couldn't get beyond it. And so they were kind of outed as being lip syncers. And so they had to give their Grammy back. I'm bringing us up to date on our Grammy history here. They literally had to give it back when that was discovered. They couldn't sing, they weren't singing. And a former fan put, ain't nobody likes lip service if they ain't got nothing to back it. And I thought to myself, that will preach. Ain't nobody likes lip service if they ain't got nothing to back it. That is sort of what Jesus said in his time when the religious elite of the day, when those who were putting themselves closer to God and others had to jump through a lot of hoops. When they were out in the streets praying really loud prayers and doing all of these things, and he was saying, why are you doing this and then going back here and not living it out? In other words, he was saying, ain't nobody likes lip service if you ain't got nothing to back it. And we all know what that feels like. Well, to me, that's a beautiful way to begin to look at the season of nonviolence. Dr. Arun Gandhi was Mahatma Gandhi's grandson. Many of you know he was right here celebrating our 70th anniversary with us 5 years ago. He has since crossed over, but it was a powerful experience to be in his presence and to hear the stories of his father and what he in his own life had learned. And so it was Arun Gandhi that had really understood the work of his grandfather. He understood the work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He understood the teachings of Jesus and the other master teachers, in that we're here to live out the golden rule. It shows up in every faith tradition, and not just simply as an idea, not just at those times when it's convenient, but we're here to live that out. And so an idea occurred to him back in 1998, and what happened is he worked with a group of people, and they created what is called the Season of Nonviolence. It's been taking place now since 1998. It begins every year on January 30th and runs for 64 days to April 4th. January 30th is the date of the anniversary of the assassination of Mohandas Gandhi. And then 64 days later is the date of the anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so many individuals, communities, spiritual communities, governments now around the world are committed to specifically on those 64 days, not only those days, but hopefully during that window of time of becoming more intentional about what it means to be a presence of peace. What does it really mean to truly live the golden rule? Not just talk about it as an idea, and not just when it's convenient, but to really treat others, all others, the way we'd want to be treated. To let love lead instead of our fears, instead of the things that separate us. To find a way where we don't put our head in the sand, we don't pretend that evil and evil actions aren't happening, but how do we be present to those things, and how do we be in our own body and with our own stuff going on in a way that truly does embody the presence of peace, and specifically nonviolence. Arun Gandhi pointed to how, again, through all the many different spiritual traditions, you see this. If you look at Buddhism, Buddhism emphasizes the concept of ahimsa. Ahimsa is absence of harm, that whatever you do, live with an absence of harm. And a practice of metta kindness, being kind. Metta means beyond just yourself, beyond just the familiar, beyond just those you like, learning to be kind. Hinduism has that same concept of ahimsa, which means harm none. Islam, in its teachings, has the concept of salam, which means harm none. Taoism teaches the principle of wu-wei, which is harm none. And certainly, Jesus, the teachings of love your neighbor as yourself, love your God, love yourself, love your neighbor, forgive, are all teachings of harm none. Jesus even went so far as to say, love your enemy. Now that's radical. But he was trying to get people to really go deep enough to see, if you love your enemy, you have no enemy. And all that you have left are neighbors. Some of them you may like to be around, and some of them you may not really like to be around. Some of them may be sandpaper for your soul. Some of them you may vehemently disagree with the way they believe and how they show up, but they are still your neighbors. And so there's an energy that we can get caught up in without even realizing it, where we are fighting against enemies. That we see something evil. The whole challenge with having the devil and a concept of evil be so strong is that when evil becomes personified, made into a person, made into a group of persons, many people believe it gives them license to hate those persons because they have reduced them to the personification of evil. That's why Jesus said, don't have a consciousness of an enemy. We have to find ways to get beyond adversarial consciousness. Yes, somebody may be fighting against you. Yes, you may be at complete opposites. But there's a way to deal with the actions. There's a way to be present to what's going on. We hold people accountable. We're not saying it's not happening. But I do and will never, hopefully, demonize you or get caught up in wanting to be hurtful and evil back to you. Otherwise, we just keep perpetuating the same thing. Amen? So how do we begin to do this? Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said, it is the law of spirit that we must become what we would draw to us. If we would draw to us love, we must be love, be loving and kind. If we would have peace and harmony in our environment, we must establish it within ourselves. To establish it within ourselves, be it in order to experience it in our world. And so a little bit about the concept of nonviolence. Sometimes when you hear the word nonviolence, you might automatically think not doing, that it almost sounds like inaction or not doing. It may be reduced to thinking that you just are ignoring or dismissing something. It's not that. You may perceive it to be inaction. It is not inaction. You may think it's putting energy into trying to ignore or outsmart. It's not that. You may think that nonviolence is simply the absence of conflict or simply condoning or excusing. It's not any of those things. The activity of nonviolence is the presence of peacefulness. Gandhi called it soul force. It's bringing to bear something that's bigger than whatever is going on out here. Rumi pointed to it when he said, beyond all ideas of right doing and wrong doing, there's a place and I'll meet you there. It's learning to be in that place. It's learning to find that level of awareness within ourselves so that we have a better chance of staying connected and more at peace when we find ourselves in those situations. And we all know with this election year, we could all use some training and participating and practicing on how do I stay centered? How can I really, really be a presence that's going to be helpful? I want to see better things happening in our world, amen? I want to see people who are ethical and kind and respectful and represent with love and dignity and compassion. I want to see those people in leadership. I want to see legislation that honors the dignity of all people, that it upholds our sacred connection. We want to see those things. And so in order to be people that can work for those things, we must first embody a way that we can be about it without getting so caught up that we get reduced. And when all else fails, there's always a genuine apology, because I guarantee you will fail. Someone asked me just a couple of Sundays ago, they said, I look at you and it just seems like you never get frazzled. I said, just talk to my partner or anybody. Of course I do. And she said, really? I said, absolutely. And I said, as a matter of fact, just within the last 4 or 5 years, I had the worst arguments with my parents in my whole life, and I felt horrible because me trying to help them see something, I got so frustrated, I then just kind of lost it. Now, the good news is I was able to take some deep breaths, go back, and apologize. And in the long run, it actually made us even closer. But it felt horrible, and I hated that it happened. You're going to have some of that. You are going to fall flat on your face. You're going to think I've got it, and then, my Lord, why did I do it again? You just got to keep picking yourself back up and remembering, and the more you pick yourself back up, the more you do those things, you don't want to have to do it again. I do not want to experience that again. Next time I would just smile and say, I love y'all dearly, but I need some air. Just do what you got to do. So what? So I want to look at 5 quick ways. I call these 5 expressions. Sometimes when we think about concepts like peace or nonviolence, they're so big, it's hard to reduce it to what I call the so what. So what? So how do I actually show up? So I'm going to give you 5 so whats that are, in one sense, they're levels, but in another sense, they all work together, and I believe you'll see this. So an expression of peace and nonviolence, number 1 is love. When you genuinely love somebody, you're not going to hurt anybody you love. If you genuinely love somebody, you're willing to experience what we call tough love. But you are not going to be violent to someone that you love. And so the first thing we can do is to recognize our capacity for love, to give thanks for it, to practice it. These last month, January, we had an initiative, a challenge, a 21-day challenge for 21 days in a row to let someone know what you appreciate about them. Acknowledge something that you love that they've done, that you appreciate that they've done, some goodness. Many of you did that. Susan in Tennessee, I want to shout out. You sent us a beautiful letter. There's lots of people that did that, and you're expressing love. When you can, the Heart Math Institute has shown us scientifically that there's an intelligence in the heart that radiates through the entire being. And when you really feel love for something or someone, and when you can stay connected to that love and begin to send it out, you put yourself in a field of vibration that translates. It alters people and things around you to love. There's a story that comes from the Old Testament. It's referred to as the Tower of Babel. It's found in the first book of the Old Testament, Genesis chapter 11, and the story runs 1 through 9. And in a nutshell, it goes like this. It says, at a time that all humankind spoke a single language, the population began to grow, and it grew eastward. And they discovered a plain in the land of Babylon, and it was even soon quickly populated. The people who began there were one people, one language. And so they talked about building a great city with a temple tower that would reach to the skies, that would reach and put them directly in touch with God. And it would also serve as an eternal monument to them. They said, this will wield us together and keep us from scattering all over the world. So they made great piles of brick. And they began to use mortar. And they began to build it. And as the story goes, and it's interesting if you read it because it said, and the gods, plural, that the gods noticed what they were doing and stopped them. And the way the gods stopped them, it said, so the Lord confused their language so they could not understand one another, scattering them all over the earth and stopped them building the city. Thus it was called Babel, because they could not understand one another again. Now, the significance of that story, if you really read it, in Unity we realize that the Bible is a metaphysical, beyond the physical, beyond the literal, that the characters and the stories tell us about characteristics of our soul journey and of us. What this story is pointing out is so often we believe our greatest goal is to reach heaven, to touch the gods, That's where our saving grace is, and that needs to happen. But if that's our only pursuit, we miss our whole point of being on earth. And so when you're scattered about, all of a sudden your spiritual practice is no longer just vertical, it is very horizontal. This story is about the true connection comes when we understand we're not all meant to think the same. Unity is not uniformity nor conformity. That it's in our diverse, beautiful differences. It's in the many different ways the light and love of God is exemplified. When we can begin to work together, what it will take is discovering the language of the heart. You see, what transcends any other language is the language of the heart. And so love, that first thing is, how do we commit to placing ourselves in the presence of love and to learning to love? So love definitely is a way we can stay in the presence of peace and out of violence. Well, you may say, honestly, I would be lying. I just am not feeling love here. That's legit. So let's look at the next step, the next expression. The next expression we could say is compassion. You don't have to love someone to have compassion toward them, right? You may watch television. I have watched television and seen people where the wars are going on around and seeing people trying to get out, or women and children or men and children who have been kidnapped and are taken away, and I find myself crying. Now, I don't know them, but I have compassion on what that must feel like. I can't really imagine what it would feel like, but compassion is that part of us that says, but by the grace of God, that could be me, that could be my family. You know, compassion is that part of us that recognizes we are in this together. And one of the Buddhist practices is to begin to cultivate, if you want to cultivate compassion, when you look at another person and you're starting to feel some differences of opinion, you begin to say to yourself, well, you know what? Just like me, she wants to feel safe. Just like me, she wants to be understood. Just like me, she cares about what she believes in. And just like me, sometimes she probably lets her darker side get ahead of her light side. But just like me. So love, compassion, we can understand that those things will definitely help keep us in a place of peace and nonviolence. The third, then, the scriptures tell us to judge not, to withhold judgment. Being able to stay in a place of, I might not understand, may not even be able to comprehend it, can't imagine. But as long as I can stay in a place of, I'm not going to judge, then I'm not reducing you to a bad thing. You understand what we're saying here? To be able to keep yourself in that place of not judging. I live relatively close to here, and there was one day I was coming to the church, and I was on this road. There was a stop, and a car was coming here, and this pickup truck just really didn't even stop, pulled out, didn't seem to notice this one, and ran them almost in the ditch. And so when I witnessed it, it just shook me up, and I noticed inside of me, I immediately had compassion for the little car and the little lady that got ran off the road. And boy, was I riled up toward that big pickup truck, and that, I thought I had a word for that, a person in that truck. And I thought, whoa, like, ugh, that fast, that can still come up in me. But, I got me shook up a little bit, my heart beating fast because it was almost an accident. I had to stop too. And so when I was coming to church and I'm in prayer about it, I said, Holy Spirit, how can I shift more quickly like this? And I clearly heard, what if that driver of the truck was your father? I was like, oh, yeah. My 80-something-year-old dad out in his truck. Yeah, we don't know how long we're going to keep letting him drive very far. And it's like, immediately I thought, what if that was my father, my nephew? What if that was me on a bad day? It could have been anybody. And so one of the ways to begin to shift it is when you find yourself in those. And the beauty of it is it doesn't have to happen in the moment. In the moment, you may be spitting fire, as my grandma would say. You may be angry, but you don't want to land there. The way we change is at the end of the day, we say, gosh, that really irritated me. How could I see it differently? And so when we begin to realize we're one human family, we begin to see it differently. So we love, we have compassion, we learn how to withhold judgment. On withholding judgment, the Buddha had a powerful teaching. There's a story about the Buddha teaching to a group of people who had surrounded him, and he was talking about enlightenment. And this young man came up, and he started yelling things at the Buddha. You're not who you say you are. You're not telling anything that matters to anybody. What are you here? You're just taking up space. And so people are trying to listen to the Buddha, and this young man is yelling. And so now some of the people who were listening to the Buddha get up and they start yelling back at the man. They matching the energy. It's going back and forth. And the Buddha said, stop. He said, young man, may I ask you a question? The young man said, yes. He said, if you offer me a gift and I do not take it, whose gift is it? The young man said, if I offer you a gift and you don't take it, it's still my gift. He said, if you offer me your insult and I don't take it, whose insult is it? And the whole crowd went, He said, in the same way, it belongs to the one who has offered it. And in the same way, the words with which you have insulted me, they are not mine, they are yours. So to stay out of Buddha's not saying go to a holier than thou place. He's teaching us, this is a boundary teaching. When a person comes to you and they're very upset and they're expressing that and it's flowing out, that's what they're having to offer at this minute. It's up to you whether or not you take it on and get entangled. That's a huge, when we begin to learn that, but it is something we have to be aware of. I truly believe that's why Jesus always said, shake the dust off. A lot of stuff may get thrown at you. You may find your stuff in the midst of a lot of stuff. Shake it off and then do your introspection. Was there some truth there? Is there something I need to learn? What's mine to do in this without getting caught up in the aggression, in the fighting back? Love, compassion, judge not. The next one is do no harm. That one to me is pretty straightforward. Some people say, well, if it's come to that, if that's all that it's come to, well, I'm telling you, if you're on the brink of doing harm with your words, of doing harm with your thoughts, of doing harm with your actions, and you can stop yourself, do no harm, then that is an act of nonviolence. So to realize do no harm is a very, very powerful thing. In 2015, a survey went out, and the question was, should we bomb Agrabah? One question, should we bomb Agrabah? 49% of the people surveyed said, yes, we should bomb Agrabah. What the people did not know is that Agrabah is a fictional cartoon city. It came from the movie Aladdin. But the point of the survey was, when they asked most people, there were a lot of reasons why they said, a whole lot of reasons, but the majority of people confessed it sounded Arab. And so what the survey was saying is that unless we really pay attention to the way we just run away with this or run away with that, we're likely to say, yeah, do this, and we don't even know what we're running behind saying, yeah, do this for. And so to love, to have compassion, to judge not, and to do no harm. And then the final one, Sarah, would you come on up? The final one is tend to where it hurts. One of the greatest things you can do to cultivate peace and nonviolence is to stop and to tend to where it hurts. There's a story from the Zen tradition that says, if a person is bit by a snake, a poisonous snake. And they turn and they run in anger after the poisonous snake. They do nothing but drive the venom further in their body. That a person who is bitten by a poisonous snake must always stop and tend to the wound. And yet so often in our lives, when something has hurt us, we run off chasing it and fighting against it, really driving that same energy further within ourselves. To be able to own it, to know it, to recognize it in a kind and gentle way. You're human, it happens. But what does it look like to you to tend the wound? How do you tend the hurt so that it harms none in your life or in any life? So to love, to express compassion, to begin to notice our judgments, and to become more conscious about withholding judgment. And again, it doesn't mean that you are dismissing or ignoring something which needs to be held accountable. You can hold a person accountable and still hold them in the light. It's about withholding judgment, a judgment that would create that enemy adversarial consciousness within your own self, and thereby reduces them to the sum of their actions and forgets that they have a soul and a spirit. Because the minute we do that, the minute we reduce them to absolute terribleness, end of discussion, we've said that they don't have a soul or a spirit that's capable of being changed. And I don't know about you, but I believe in a presence of a God that can help anything heal and transform and change. And so I don't want to ever me be the judge and say that I know they can't change, because I hold open the hope and the possibility. There's a lot of folks I'm praying for, a lot of politicians right now, hoping that they will change and believing that they will change. And to do that in a way that exudes love. Love, compassion, judge not. And then we move to do no harm. And finally, tend to where it hurts, so that at least you are not perpetuating the harm. How many of you are willing to engage that with us? To work on those, the season of nonviolence. In just a little bit, we'll tell you about our February initiative, and this will give you a way to engage in compassion if you choose to accept the invitation for February. But first, let's just take a few moments and anchor this in a meditative prayer with this song, if you'll sing it with me, that says, Gentle Spirit. Gentle Spirit, flow in me. Gentle Spirit, grow in me. Gentle Spirit, show in me. Gentle Spirit, know in me. One more time, just like that. Gentle Spirit. Gentle Spirit, flow in me. Gentle Spirit, grow in me. Gentle Spirit, shows in me. Gentle Spirit, knows in me. I invite you to close your eyes. If it's comfortable for you to just place your hand on your heart. Each person in this room has a human heart. Each person has their very own heart. And each heart is enlivened by a spirit, is animated by a presence that flows from beyond the individual. With each heartbeat, with each breath, we are being lived, and we are living beings. There's a time in every life where we must come to know ourselves as the center of the universe. We must come to know that we are responsible and accountable for our light, that we are the center of the universe, our universe. And how we live our life, the energy we bring into our relationships and our conversations, the quality of love and compassion, the genuineness of heart we seek to bring forth. We are the center of that universe. And we have the responsibility to do what's ours to do. But now if you'd place your other hand on top of that one, both hands on your heart. Hopefully there also comes a time when you discover that yes, you are the center of your universe. Far beyond that, you are centered in the universe. You are not alone. You are far greater than your thoughts. And so when we confuse ourselves, when a harsh thought, an impulse that is unhealthy arises, when these things come up within us, that's when we remember, I don't have to be the center of the universe because I am centered in a universe. I am centered in what is called God, and in that I live and move and have my being. And there is a power and a presence that can heal me, that can change me. There is that within me that can deepen my compassion, that can open my eyes more clearly, that can ground me in a greater sense of safety and peace, that can give me a new heart for creativeness, a new excitement towards life, that can transform my desires that had been selfish to desires that want to be of service. And so, yes, I am the center of the universe, but I am also centered in the universe. And so I open my heart to the presence of love, to teach me, to heal me, to guide me. I open myself to my own compassion and to be one who is most likely to express compassion, to be one who is mindful of my judgments, and to do all that I can to withhold judgment because I don't want to harm. And so I commit to harm none. And I also commit to tend to where it hurts. That is love. So I am the center of the universe. Far beyond that, I am centered within it. So back to this beautiful heartbeat. Your heart, my heart. May we choose to see beyond the different lampshades that we wear, ways that we show up, sometimes very dark and sometimes illumined. May we look through to the heart, to the light. May we find within us ways to stay connected to this presence in such a way that it permeates and changes the very atmosphere of every encounter, that it in some way can be a holy encounter. So gentle spirit flows in me, gentle spirit grows in me, gentle spirit shows in me, gentle spirit knows in me. Bring your awareness back. Gentle spirit flows in me, gentle spirit grows in me, gentle spirit shows in me, gentle spirit knows in me. Would you stand? to sing it to you. Gentle Spirit flows in you. Gentle Spirit grows in you. Gentle Spirit shows in you. Gentle Spirit knows in you. One more time to me. Gentle Spirit flows in me. Gentle Spirit grows in me. Gentle Spirit shows in me. Gentle Spirit knows in me. To 64 days and then some of peace and nonviolence. And so it is. Thank you so much. You may be seated. Thank you. I want to invite up the rest of our, oh, they got up here somehow or another. Like I just didn't hear all that playing. I'm all up in the gentle spirit. They snuck up here. Well, then, we'll invite our ushers to come forward. Come on up, ushers. This is the time in our service, and come on, Elaine. She's got a beautiful song for us that she's going to be singing. Next Sunday, after the service, is our annual meeting. Everyone is invited. We'll also be electing some board members. It's the members who vote, so you'll have a way to check in. But we invite and encourage everyone. Bring yourself a little snack if you need it. The meeting will start at noon next Sunday. But we're going to be talking about what 2023 looked like, how we ended financially, and how many of you know this year, 2024, is our what year anniversary? 75th. And so there's some exciting things planned for that. So I hope you'll be here and give us your input on that. That's, again, next Sunday after the service. So these ushers that are here, first of all, we begin with Tom. Tom is here holding up the prayer box. That box is usually under the beautiful tapestry. You can literally put a written prayer request in. It's held in confidence. Our ministry team, our prayer team sees it, and then we send it to Silent Unity where it's prayed for 30 days. Tom and some of our prayer chaplains are available back in the youth area after the service to pray with you, a prayer of celebration, a prayer of need, whatever it may be. With you, a couple, a family, we're happy to pray with you. And so then our ushers, Michael and Ellen Winter today, our ushers remind us that it is through our resources, our time, our talent, our treasure, that create this and allow us to do what we do. So I ask you to give what you can give from a heart that knows it has to give, and it all works when we do that. Would you affirm this blessing that says, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. I am now in perfect balance and with the universal tides of giving and receiving. Thank you, God, and so it is. Elaine.
Good morning or evening, friends. Here's your friendly announcer. I have serious news to pass on to everybody. What I'm about to say could mean the world's disaster, could change your joy and laughter to tears and pain. Is that love's in need of love today? Don't delay, send yours in right away. Hate's going round, breaking many hearts. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far. lots of evil plans to make you its possession. And it will, if you let it, destroy everybody. We all must take precautionary measures. If peace and love you treasure, then hear me when I say, is that love in need of love today? Don't delay, send yours in right away. Hate going round, breaking, it's trying to break your heart inside. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far. You know that love's in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. You know that hate's going round, breaking, it's trying to break my heart inside. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far. Oh, love's in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. You know that hate's going round, breaking, it's trying to break your heart inside. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far. Love's in need. Love somebody today, every day.
Yeah. Woo. Elaine Scott. Woo. Stay right here if you will. We'll ask her to sing that again in just a minute when we leave. And we're going to sing the peace song. They do have refreshments, but I don't think it's pizza. There's some little snacks. So every month this year, we are committed as a staff to working for all of us, we're extending a challenge or an invitation. You can start last month now if you want to. Last month was a 21-day challenge for 21 days in a row. You acknowledged, you told someone, you did something to acknowledge how they make a difference. Many of you did that. February is known as a month of love, compassion. How many of you have ever heard of a blessing bag? Some of you may be familiar, come on up and bring yours, called a blessing bag or an I care. So what we're inviting you to do is at least one a week. That's pretty simple. You can get creative. We're going to put ours out. We all put together some so you can see. So for example, if how many of you have been in your car and there's that person standing there with a sign that says, I'm homeless, I need money. And then you do the debate, do I act like I need to pick up lint right now? Or do I dig into my purse? Or do I whatever? Well, what I'm challenging you to do is to prayerfully put together a blessing bag. Put together a few little goodies in a bag. You may or may not choose to put a little money in it, but definitely put a card that says something like, I made this for you, and I want you to know that somebody cares. Can you imagine how you may change a life? And so you can put together whatever you feel like may be good, a little goodie to go out. Now, the one thing that really gets me is when the person has a dog. So I'm going to carry a blessing bag for a dog as well. So when I encounter that person, I will be able to give them a bag and their dog a bag. There's others that may have more toiletry items, socks, or things like that. You'll know. That's one way to use the bags. Another way may be this. Maybe you're going to see your hairstylist or a dentist or an old friend. You're going to visit someone, and you want to take them a blessing bag. And so whatever that would look like. It doesn't have to be very expensive, You can go to the dollar store, pick up 5 things, put them in a bag, have it with you. But the intention is that we're praying about, use me to pass this along to someone where it will be a blessing. And if everyone would do at least 4 this month, look at how many lives you would change. And if some of you want to make more and bring them to the church and leave them, we are in relationship with senior care homes where some people never get a visit. I'm sure they would enjoy having our staff or some of you come through one day and hand out blessing bags. We know of women and children in shelters and in homes that may enjoy one. So get creative. We look forward to hearing about it, but how many of you will engage this on some level? All right. Would you please stand, and we're going to close in song, the peace song, Let There Be Peace on Earth. Just have them. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Brothers and sisters are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment, peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Yeah, join us for refreshments. Will you sing us out? Will you sing that again? That was awesome.